Hi YouTube. Welcome to my first vlog. My name's Roa, and I'm super excited to have you here today. The reason I've started this vlog is because I am an aspiring novelist. Um, I'm 32 years old, and I wanted to create a community and to share my journey with others online. And to share my own artistic process, um, to, like I said, build a community, to um, grow as a writer, an artist, a human being. And yeah, because frankly, it's pretty lonely being a writer. The work is so solitary, and as many classes as I've taken, and as many people that I've kind of connected with in these last 2 years since I began my own journey into the world of writing. Um, it's still a bit lonely. And at the same time, I kind of have always been interested in vlogging. I make a lot of videos on Instagram. So I thought, why not kind of transfer that to something more purposeful and something that can potentially make money down the road. Who knows? But anyways, so we're starting today. It's Monday, and I actually just took last week off because I finished my ninth revision of my manuscript. So let me give you a little background. I started writing my manuscript um 2 years ago. So back in 2024, and actually right around July. So it's my 2 year anniversary, or the manuscript's 2 year anniversary. So yeah, my manuscript is called Once Upon a Lonely Summer, and it's about a woman who is going through a lonely time in her life. And you know, basically, she does everything she can not to face what she's really going through. So it's kind of this expose of a woman's inner life. So the protagonist, her name is Haneen, and it's very personal to me. So yeah, it is. It's based on my life, which makes me a little self-conscious to to share because it is really personal. But I do know that a lot of writers start out with writing about themselves before they kind of venture off and write about other characters. And I can totally see why it's just kind of easier to start with writing about yourself. Um, and it's funny because I can totally see myself now down the road after having kind of gotten this out of myself, having a lot of fun exploring other point of view characters, maybe a male next time. But for the sake of this manuscript, it's about a woman. She's 32 years old, and she's going through a very, very lonely summer. But it actually details a whole year of her life, and it really kind of exposes herself and her inner world during that time. And basically, it kind of follows her through a quest, really. So I actually struggle to really summarize the book, and I think a lot of it has to do with it being really personal, and at the same time being um, not a published author and still very new to the world of writing and fiction, and um, still, you know, there's a lot of insecurity there and lack of kind of confidence and a sort of imposter syndrome. So, but I want to read you guys a little sort of short part of my potential query letter, which will be a nice kind of segue into the next part of what I'm going to. So here it is. Haneen is a lonely but vibrant 29-year-old office manager with a rich inner life who wants desperately to be chosen by Vishnu, her crush who has already left her. She also wants a life which feels like her own. After she sends Vishnu a risque photograph, which she of course turns into a tribute to John Singer Sargent's Madam X, her loneliness deepens into obsession. Then her coworker Ezekiel invites her to church with him. Before long, she is compelled by something unknown to her, a force. Suddenly, a serendipitous encounter with Maggie Nelson's Blue Ads becomes an invitation to interpret ordinary events as encounters with the divine. She begins to notice everywhere the color blue. Vishnu is no longer just a boy from MIT, but a prince. Boston is not just a city where she lives, but a haunted landscape built specifically to torture her. And finally, a 30th birthday trip with her beloved and equally strange long distance best friend to what she briefly understands as paradise, located in the illustrious Vermont hills, ends up opening up the floodgates to hell. So that's that's as much as I have, and it's kind of like it still needs a little bit of work because I know that the kind of cause and effect nature of the or kind of formula of the query draft isn't quite precise yet enough yet that I feel like it's going to capture an agent. But that does bring me into my next point. So, yes, I took last week off and here we are Monday, July July 20th. And I'm starting my 10th and final revision. So, like I said, it's been 2 years that I've been working on this manuscript every single day, for the most part. I mean, I've obviously taken vacations here and there, but for the most part, it's been a 7 day a week thing, living, breathing, eating, sleeping, everything around the novel or in service to the novel, the manuscript. But I'm actually finally at a point now where I'm ready to see what happens, to put it out there, to see if I can get an agent to query and to begin writing my second novel, which I already have an idea for. And it's kind of funny because the novel that I'm intending to write after I send this out and begin querying, and I kind of have the space. The second novel that intend to begin writing is actually the one that I wanted to write first, but I would never have had the confidence to actually write the second one first. Um, so it's funny how life works out. I'm actually super proud of the manuscript that I have now. I think it's just incredible what like a determination and a want. As I think if I didn't want to write this, it never would have been something like it never would have turned out well, right? We can't force ourselves to do anything as human beings. So yeah, I there was a really strong will and a passion. Oh yeah, passion. Because it was just so much fun. Like I never felt like while I was sitting down at the keyboard that I like miserable or like I didn't want to do it. In fact, like it was hard. Obviously, it was hard. It was really, really hard. But for the most part, I woke up every day and I was like so excited to go and sit down and be in the world of my novel and with my protagonist and kind of watching it flourish, watching it unfold, watching the story kind of reveal itself to me. I remember watching something once where a writer described the writing process as like an archaeological like kind of thing where you're almost like an archaeologist and you're actually like you're discovering the novel in a way. And I find that to be very true because there was no way that I knew when I was sitting down 2 years ago what I was gonna get. And I very much had to be open and flexible and willing to kind of let the manuscript itself show me what it was. Um, so yeah, anyways, cool part is that it's almost ready, I think. I mean, I think I've brought it to a place where it's as good as I can get it, and I know that I could keep doing more, and potentially I will. But you know, I could revise it forever, realistically, and I think I'm just ready to put it out there and see what happens. Which is really cool because you guys are gonna get to go on the querying, like through the querying process with me. And we're gonna see what I get, right? Like the rejections, if I'm able to land an agent, what if I'm not, maybe if I like what am I gonna learn? What are we gonna learn together? And I think that's gonna be cool. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, can't wait to take you with me, like I said. And yeah, this week we're starting the 10th draft. It's kind of like this is going to be an interesting draft because I'm not rewriting the novel again from scratch. I'm mostly kind of focused now on a bit more of like a uh fine tuning and making sure that the themes are like I'm always bringing the reader back to the theme, not getting lost, kind of in the language. I'm very, very like maximalist, as you can probably see from my environment. I love all things maximalism, and even my prose, it's really maximalist. And I actually often I've worked really hard through the drafts to find restraint. So part of this draft is again like restraint, finding that restraint, continuing to like kind of fine tune on the sentence level. But mostly, it's really chapter by chapter now, and that it's like I'm just going through the chapters and making sure that they're staying on track. Um, you know, adding sentences here and there if need be to kind of bring the reader back to the theme, ground if I make sure that I'm constantly grounding the reader in like what's happening. um just because I do have a tendency to go off and right to the hill, right to the right to the stars and the clouds or wherever I my mind wants to take me. But I do know it's important like to kind of constantly bring it back, and so I'm really kind of focused on those types of edits in this next and final edit, and obviously all the other good stuff, syntax, grammar, um, and the prose is pretty good, but yeah, it always can use fine tuning. So yeah, anyways, let's write. You guys, I finished my first writing session, and I think it went pretty well. Obviously, I did film on Monday, um, but I did start my 10th draft, and yeah, so I worked on Monday. I had worked on my opening chapter, and I'm really pleased to say that I think I actually nailed it. Um, it's really cool. It's been really cool because I actually showed my opening chapter to my writers group last November, and it was in a completely different shape. I mean, it's actually not even the same opening chapter anymore. But I just remember their feedback, and they were really nice, but basically told me what I had didn't work, and that was the best thing that could have possibly happened to me because it gave me the courage to throw out what I had and rewrite one. And now I think what I've ended up with, um, almost like 10 months later, is really, really quite good. Yeah. Um, but no, I'm proud of it. You know what? I'm proud of it. So I think that that's all that matters. I mean, I think as I told you guys, like It is what it is at this point. I don't know what's going to come, but I know that I'm ready, that I've brought my manuscript to to a place where I'm happy with it. I'm proud of it. And these kind of final revisions that I'm in, this 10th draft is really less about writing and more about really fine tooth like combing sort of not just like the language but like the architecture of it, the structure, making sure that it's, I'm super hyper conscious of all of the little details that could potentially kind of get in the way of a reader's experience. Yeah, so today's session, it went well. I mean, compared to yesterday, which obviously I didn't vlog, I actually had a really frustrating writing session yesterday, and sometimes all it takes is, coming back again to something with fresh eyes and a new perspective, and suddenly, it comes together and it's wonderful. So yeah, I've been working on chapter 2 today. And chapter 2 is pretty hard, actually a little harder than the opening because it's really where the novel starts to get into its meat and bones, like right away. Essentially you're being introduced to the themes, the central conflicts. More characters are showing up, you're getting deeper into this protagonist's world. And because the novel also aims to answer fairly complex questions about meaning and purpose and the search for meaning and purpose and mental health and spirituality and God, religion, yeah, like all the good stuff, because that's essentially what this character is going to end up asking herself in the pits of her loneliness, as the novel is called Once Upon a Lonely Summer. Um, so yeah, the chapter 2 is really, it gets into that. And yesterday I was really frustrated because I felt like somehow I wasn't really, something wasn't working for me about the second chapter, its architecture. Um, and today I think I really kind of got to the heart of the chapter in a way, or was able to identify it and sort of edit in a way where I think it really brought it together. What helped though, actually, so I heard Stephen King say this, like every time he sits down to write, he'll read what he wrote the previous day, and just so he can get into the world of the novel faster. And I remember hearing that advice and I was like, I tried it for like a day, but when I sit down to write, or when I have been sitting down to write for the past 2 years since I started this novel, I just get right into it. Like I don't like to read what I wrote the previous day. I write and I edit right after, very briefly, nothing crazy. And then I the next day I'm off to the next, like I'm off to the races, as they say. Like so I haven't been super nitpicky really, and I've just kind of allowed the manuscript to evolve organically, which has been great. But I actually sat down today because I think that my opening does something really well where it genuinely captures the protagonist and narrator's voice. So it's written in first person, by the way, POV. Um, and yeah, for some reason I just nailed it. Like I 2 edits ago, I got a draft finally of my opening and I was like, this is it. Like this is it. And you know what they say, like when you know, right? So yeah, I did. So anyways, yeah, I took Stephen King's advice and I was like, I'm gonna read what I wrote the previous day, and I did that today, and I think it really helped. And I think the reason I hadn't been doing it before is because like I don't know if other people get this, other writers. I have to imagine we kind of all have this feeling because I've heard it before, where it's like you just can't sometimes like stand what you wrote. Like in the middle of it, you're like, this is the best thing ever. And then suddenly, like an hour later, you're like, this is disgusting. So yeah, that's kind of why I wasn't like super keen on reading what I had written the day before or anything. But I did that today and I think it really worked. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next session. Okay, guys, I finished writing session number 2. Um, and yeah, so that one went really, really well. I always love writing session number 2 because um it's already like I've already gotten the brain, gets flowing obviously from the first session. But I always read after the first session. I'll have something to eat and then I'll read. And I'm always usually reading something that um is kind of like in service to the novel. So it's either something that I'm kind of stylistically aspiring to, or thematically, or um yeah, just really like, yeah, anything that kind of I can draw from. And it's been a really interesting actually like process, even like discovering fiction that I hadn't read before, or authors I didn't know. And just kind of how serendipitous it's been like in finding the right books. It just seems like every time I find exactly what I'm looking for without even have really like had needed to look. Oh, okay, wait. Let me show you guys what I'm reading that kind of like I think totally must have given me like some really good juju for the writing session that I just had. Martyr. Okay, so yeah, the story with this is that actually a woman in my writers group told me about it because when I submitted my opening chapter again for review just like a month ago on got like much more positive kind of feedback. Although of course always there's always criticism in writing. It just feels like that's just art, right? Like it's so subjective. But anyways, she had said that the writing actually reminded her of my style of writing reminded her of this book. Which is so interesting. I never heard of it, but I somehow like kind of immediately felt something when she showed me the cover on video, or like when she showed it to me on video, and then I was like, martyr, like, yeah, raise your hand if you're low-key a martyr. Anyways, but yeah, I was like immediately drawn and I started reading it. I think like honestly like 2 days ago. Maybe it's only been a day. I don't know. I'm already like on page 50 or something, but it's fantastic. I love it. It's about an Iranian guy named Cyrus. And both of his parents are dead, and he's an alcoholic and he's struggling on a billion levels, existentially and otherwise. And I already just really resonate with Cyrus as a human. um, Now I don't know what's going to happen. I sort of have a little bit of an idea what the plot is, but yeah, so far it's just that I've kind of been getting to know Cyrus. The fact that his parents died, his mother died in a without like spoiling the plot. I think this is actually kind of just like known about it, but um yeah, his mother is shot down over the skies of the Persian Gulf in an accident, and then yeah, his father dies too. Now that's in the book jacket. I just realized like I don't want to give anyone a spoiler. But anyways, so the issues that I was having with the second chapter, I think I've like been pretty close to resolving them. I think that I've actually, yeah, like I think it's close. I mean, we'll never achieve perfection, right? But it's pretty damn good. I think it's good. Anyways, I think that's all for today, and I think that's all for this week. I'm really it's been really fun to have you guys here with me, and I can't wait to connect more. Let me know in the comments if you're also a writer, if you're working on a manuscript, if you've already written a manuscript, if you've gone through the querying process, if you've ever read Martyr, if yeah, I don't know, yeah, just leave a comment about anything if you want, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.